have your homework out. Your book's open to page 51. Homework out. Books open to page 51. You did numbers 12 through 36 on page 51. Numbers 12 through 36. Excellent. On page 51 there in the homework section. And good. Excellent. All right, let's go and take a look at these together. Numbers 12 through 18, just some basic review. Let me run through the answers very quickly. If you have any questions, you can certainly ask. Number 12, just make sure you line up the decimal point, 82.925. Number 13, same thing. Be careful as you borrow, 5.497. Number 14, make sure you have 3 decimal places in your answer, 5.134. Number 15, in order to add fractions, remember class, you have to have a common denominator. Should have used 6 as your common denominator. When you get your answer, you're initially going to get 5 and 7/6. It's going to be 5 and 9/6. Then you're going to have to simplify that down and end up with 6 1/2 for your answer. Number 16, common denominator of 21, you're going to have to borrow. And when you do, you end up getting 5 and 13/21. And for number 17, what kind of fraction is that, Joshua?
Like a super fraction.
A super fraction, not a super fraction, Lana. A fraction with fractions in a complex fraction. There we go, complex fraction, which is really just a division problem, remember. And we don't really divide, we multiply by the reciprocal, so should have gotten 3/5 for the answer there. And then our number 18, again, same thing, change to mixed number, or improper fractions rather, from the mixed numbers. And multiply by the reciprocal, get 3 and 5/9. Any questions on 12 through 18? All right, let's get into practicing with the percents and things. We do have a quiz coming up here in just a little bit, so let's make sure we're good here. A couple key words. The first word we see on number 19 is the word of. And we need to remember, Scott, that of means multiply. There we go, multiply. And numbers, some of the others, we see that word is. And Joshua, we need to remember that is means equals. And so if it says what, or something along what number, what percent, there, Lana, we would just plug in the letter X. And so we make little equations, so we don't have to remember, do we multiply, when do we divide? You may, just by frequent use, realize, oh, every time it looks like this, I divide that. But rather than having to memorize that rule, it kind of comes more naturally and is easier to remember. Plus, quiz or test, you know how it goes. It's like, oh, am I doing this right? Which one goes where? You don't have to worry about that. Just set up the formula, or the equation rather, and solve. So number 19, 142% of 150. Scott, what did you get?
243.
It's not 243, though. I wonder if you just can't read your writing. Joshua?
212.
It's not 212.
213.
Should be 213. It does make sense. It should be bigger than 150 because 100% of 150 would be 150. So more than 100% would be more than 150. It should come out to 213. Number 20 for redemption, Scott, 16 is what percent of 20? 80%. That's one of the examples on the poster. Number 21, this one, I kind of think shortcut here, Joshua. 30 is 50% of?
60.
60. But the way I think of it is 30 is half of what? It's half of 60. I don't have to do anything, just work that one in my head. Number 22, 21 is what percent of 12, Lana?
175%.
Good, and we would expect it to be over 100%, right? Because it's bigger than 12. Number 23, 12 is 75% of what number, Scott? 60. And what is 260% of 70, Joshua? 182. Any questions on 19 through 24? Any questions 19 through 24? All right, let's go and take a look at the word problems now. And again, the key with the word problems is figuring out how to set it up. And I told you to remember that the percentage is the part. The percent, well, if they ask for a percent, you know you're finding the percent. And then the base is the total. So here it says of all the people who attended the school play, 65% were parents of children in the play. If the total attendance was 500 people, how many were parents of children in the play? Are we finding the total, the part, or the percent here, Lana? If the total attendance was 500, how many parents of children, how many were parents of children in the play?
The total.
Well, we're told the total. It says if the total attendance was 500. So we're not looking for the total, we're definitely looking for the part. So here's where we would say that the part is 65% of the total. The part is the percent of the total. And you might have had that anyway. What did you get for your answer?
325.
Okay, so you did end up doing that. You did multiply 65% of or times 500 and got 325 parents of children. So maybe just didn't think it through correctly there. Number 26, but did work it correctly. Out of the 120 books on the bookshelf, only 3 were biographies. What percent of the books were biographies? Are we finding the part, the percent, or the total here, Joshua?
Percent.
Yeah, it says right there in the sentence, what percent? So you don't have to overthink this, right? Now we know the part that we're given, Joshua, is
3.
the 3 is the part, and it's what percent of the total, which is
120.
120. And we just divide by the 120. What do we end up getting for our percent?
4,000%.
Oh my. Oh, you know what? I think you divided backwards. To get x by itself, we divide away 120. But remember, the top dog is in the house. So we've got to put the 3 in the house. You had the 120 in the house, which would have been 4,000%. Scott, what did you get for your answer?
2.5%.
Yeah, it should have been 2.5%. Should have gotten 0.025 when you divide it out, and 2.5%. Number 27, an aquarium has 4 saltwater tanks. If only 20% of the total number of tanks are saltwater, how many total tanks does the aquarium have? Clearly, class, we are finding the total. We know the part class is 4 is, and they said 20%, right? Of the total. So to get the x by itself here, we divide the 0.2. What do we get for the total number of tanks, Lana? 20 tanks. Number 28, park ranger noticed 13 of the 20 campsites were not rented. What percent of the campsites were not rented? What's the park class?
13.
What's the total?
20.
And you know what I like here? I kind of like, since they want a percent, let's just make a fraction here. Multiply top and bottom by 5 to get 65 100ths, which must be what percent, class? 65%, because percent means hundreds. There we go. 65% our answer. Number 29, a deli received 20 orders for its new sandwich. If the new sandwich orders make up 10% of the total orders, how many total orders did the deli receive? Again, class, we are finding the total. It says how many total orders. We know the part is 20, and that's going to be 10%, 0.10, or just 0.1 of the total. So remember, part is percent of total. You might want to write that in your book if you're struggling with this at all. Part is percent of total. We're finding the total. We divide away the 0.1. What do we get? 4 total orders here, Scott? 200 orders. And a good way to think of this is, remember, 10% is a tenth, right? 20 is just a tenth of 200. So almost maybe you could have done that one in your head. Number 30. This is one where it breaks down just a little bit. Of the 30 students in the 8th grade class, 33 1/3% got an A on their last quiz. How many students got an A? Are we looking for the part, the percent, or the total? Lana?
Total.
We know the total. There's 30 students total. The part, clearly, right? How many got an A, right? The number, does everybody get an A? Does the total, everybody make an A? Not necessarily, and certainly not the case here. So when it says how many did this or how many got this, that's usually the part. If it says how many total, well, that's clearly your total. So here we're gonna say that the part, that's what I don't know, is, now it says 33 1/3% of the total, which is the 30 students. Lana, what's a better way to think of 33 1/3%?
1/3.
1/3. So x is 1/3 of 30. And Lana, what's a third of 30?
3. Wait. 10.
10. So 10 is our answer for number 30. Questions on 25 through 30. Questions on 25 through 30. All right, real quick, let me run through the answers to the last part of the homework. Again, this was all review, stuff we've already been tested on, but just, making sure we don't forget stuff. We do have an exam coming up at the end of the quarter, not for a while yet, but want to make sure we don't forget. 7/16 as a percent. Remember, we're going to have to divide it out to get 0.4375. That becomes 43.75%, or you can say 43 3/4%. 0.3 repeating as a fraction, remember, it's a third. What is the first term in a ratio class?
The antecedent.
Anteceding to Joshua. Then for numbers 34 through 36, solving the proportions. X is 6 in the first one, then number 35, X is 45, and in number 36, X is 8. Number 36, we would have needed to cross multiply, or perhaps reduce 10/15 to 2/3, and then you could use the equal ratio method. Any questions at all on the homework? Questions at all on the homework?
Do we have to do those balloons?
All right, let me go ahead and have you turn to page 58 now. Page 58. I want you to be working on numbers 49 to 61. Page 58, do numbers 49 to 61. Take a quiz after we do this, but we'll use this for some review to make sure our skills are where they need to be for the quiz. Page 58, numbers 49 to 61. You follow the directions carefully, rounding as it says to round, if rounding is necessary. We move it two places, right? So where is the decimal right now? No. See where the decimal is? At 14 point, there it is, and then you move it twice. Should be finishing up within the next minute or so. For sake of time, go and stop where you're at, even if you're not finished. Let's take a look at our answers here. Number 49 says to express 12% as a reduced fraction. What did you get for that, Lana?
3/25.
Good, 3/25. Remember, start with 12 hundredths and then reduce it from there. What about 2% as a decimal, Joshua? 0.02. 17.25% as a decimal. Scott?
1.725.
Good, start by making the 1/4 0.25, so 17.25%, then move the decimal two places to get the 0.1725. What about 8.097 as a percent, Lana?
809.7%.
Good, 809.7% read perfectly. Number 53, what is 30% of 90, Joshua? 27. What about 5% of 65, Scott?
3.25.
Good, what about 1/2% of 320, Lana?
1.6.
Excellent job, 1.6. Any questions so far? Questions on any of those so far? You need to see them worked. Yes, sir.
Why is that 1.6?
Well, remember, 1/2 is 0.5, so 1/2% would be 0.5%. Move it twice, you get 0.005. And then of means multiply, so we're going to multiply that by the 320. So when you multiply, and I normally will knock off a 0 and move a decimal place back, but let's say we don't do that here. 5 times 0 is 0, 5 times 2 is 10, carry the 1, 5 times 3 plus 1, 16, but 3 decimal places, which gives us 1.600, or we can just say 1.6. Does that make sense? Do you see what you did wrong? All right. More importantly, do you see how to correct it, so you don't make the same mistake on a quiz here in a minute? All right. Number 56 to 58, you're finding the percent. Number 56, you can do in your head. 4 is what percent of 8, class? 50%. Yeah, it's half of it, so we don't even need to do any math on that. 14 is what percent of 80, though? Joshua?
17.5%.
Good, 17.5%, or 17.5% would work as well. Number 58, 19 is what percent of 12, Scott?
158 and 1/3%.
I'm sorry?
158 and 1/3%.
Does it come out to 0.3 repeating there? 19 is what percent of 12? We end up dividing it by the 12, right, when we set it up. Goes in one time. Goes in, you said 5 times. Yeah. Goes in, you said 8 times. Yes, okay, yes, so 158 and 1/3%. Sorry, the book rounded it off to the one, because they said round to the nearest 10th if necessary. They had rounded it to this, and for some reason my brain wasn't thinking it would come out to the 1/3, but didn't divide out far enough. Excellent job. Either 158.3%, which is what the book wanted, but I like his answer better because it's more exact. 158 and 1/3%. Yes, ma'am.
What was 57 was 17.5.
17.5%. Do you need to see that worked?
I got 17%.
All right. So you took the 14, ended up dividing that by the 80, correct? All right. So let's do some division here. Goes in one time with 60 left over. Would go in 7 times. That's 560, correct? That leaves you with 40 left over. And then this 8 goes into the 45 times. So that, yeah, exactly 17 and 1/2, or 17.5%. Do you see
I
where?
got a 0 before.
Do you see where you did have the 14 divided by the 80, correct? Okay, so you got the 1. Did you get a 60 right here before you brought down the 0? Checking your work, all right. When you multiply the 7 times 80, did you get 56, or 560 rather?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so did you have a 40 left over down here?
Yes.
And you just didn't finish it out then?
Oh.
Yeah, so the finish out is with the 5. Questions on those? Any other questions there? All right, and then for the last one, 30 is 50% of what number? Again, you could do this in your head. Class, 30 is 50% of 60. Pretty straightforward. Number 60 even makes pretty good sense. 120 is 120% of what number, class? 100. That one almost, kind of works itself out. Of course, it's 120 is going to be 120% of 100. But number 61 for sure requires a little bit of work here. And round to the nearest whole number, it says 6 is 7% of what number? Anyone? 86. We'll show that one real quick. Remember, you'll say 6 is 0.07 times x. So you end up dividing the 6 by the 0.07. Remember, the top dog is in the house. So we're going to take the 6 divided by the 0.07, move that decimal over 2 places, and it basically becomes 600 divided by 7. Goes in, what is that, 8 times with 4 left over, goes in 5 times with 5 left over. Would be 85.7, blah, 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 but since it said round to the nearest whole number, we'll round it to 86. Questions on 59 to 61? Any questions on those? Any questions at all on percents? Yes, ma'am.
So you always move it 2 places if it doesn't come out evenly, right? And then you
Correct.
round.
And even if it did come out evenly, even if it came to 0.02 as your answer, you'd still move it 2 places and say 2%. So we always move the decimal 2 places to make decimal percent or back, vice versa. Yes, sir.
Solving this solve thing, are we gonna have anything on sales tax? And
We're
all
going to
that?
get to that here in a little bit.
Okay.
Yep. All right, go and clear your desks for now then, except for a blank sheet of paper and a pencil. Blank sheet of paper and a pencil, preferably one with a good eraser. Sheet of paper and pencil, everything else away. Using this paper as a cover sheet. As we take quiz 5. And when you get your quiz, put your first and last name in the name spot and today's date in the date spot. Today is 9/8/20. 9/8/20, today's date. Fairly straightforward, changing some percents, decimals, and fractions around with each other, and then asking just a few questions there. about 2 more minutes to be finishing up. About 30 seconds more to be putting down final answers. At the very least, make sure you have the equation. Get some partial credit. That up from you. All right, we'll take a look at these tomorrow. For now, if you would go and turn your textbooks to page 52. Page 52. And I want to look at a concept you should recall from last school year, and that is percent of change. A lot of times you'll see it worded this way: percent of increase or percent of decrease. Okay, never mind, that's homework. I was like, did I forget to collect that with you? That's not what it was. Percent of increase or decrease, or percent of change. For instance, if we have a class of 10 students and we grow to become a class of 12 students, there's been a change, there's been an increase that happens. Or if we have a class like we did last year, I think it was a class of 6, and we went down to a class of 3. Okay, there's been a change, there's been a decrease this year with coronavirus. So finding percent of change. Here's the formula, write this in the margin of your book. It's change over original. Change over original. This is something you need to stick in your brain and keep it there forever. In business, percent of change matters. In investment, percent of change matters. For less long-term for you, ACT, SAT testing. Come senior year, junior year, trying to get into college, you're gonna have to remember this. And every year, as I'm going over this with seniors, how do we find percent of increase or decrease? Ooh, change over original. You have to remember that, okay? So the key would be find the change. For instance, if we went from 10 students to 12 students, what's the change, class?
2.
2. Very good, Lana. 2, right? The change is 10 students to 12 students, we changed to 2. What was the original if we go from 10 to 12? We started at 10, right? So 2 over 10 is 0.2, which is 20% increase if we went from 10 to 12. Whereas last year we had 6 students in this class. Thanks to coronavirus, we're down to 3 students in this class. What's the change? 3. What's the original? 6. Well, you can do that in your head. That's half, which is 50% decrease. Make sense? That's how we find it. Look at the examples on page 52. Wednesday, temperature was 64 degrees. Thursday, it's 60 degrees. What's the percent of change? Well, how much did the temperature change, class?
Wait, 6.
You're looking at the yellow shaded box. On page 52, temperature was 64, and now it's 60. 4-degree change, very good. Now, what was the original? 64. So you can reduce that down to 1/16 and then have to divide that out, you know, and work that through. And of course the book does the work, so we'll save the time there. You get 0.0625. They push it back 6.25 or 6.3%. The final thing is increase or decrease. Well, did the temperature go up or did it go down? So that'd be decrease. Pretty easy. Look at the next example. George sold 80 cars last month. This month, he sold 25 more cars. What's the change? 25. He sold 25 more cars. It didn't say he sold 25 cars. He sold 25 more cars. They actually gave you the change in this problem. Sometimes they'll be nice. Unfortunately, sometimes when they're nice, it's tricky because we're expecting to have to do some subtraction, right? But they actually give you the change in this one, 25. We divide it by the 80 cars that he'd sold the previous month, 0.3125 or 31.3%. Now, he sold more cars, so that would be increase. Questions at all on finding percent of increase or decrease? Turn over to page 54. I want you numbers 1 through 9, the odd. Page 54, numbers 1 through 9, the odd. Find the change unless it's already given, and you don't have to find it. You can be lazy, which is wonderful. And then divide it by the original. Label as either increase or decrease. Increase if it goes up, decrease if it goes down. One, 3, 5, 7, 9. What's the simple formula we're using, class? Change over original. Thank you, Scott. Class, what's the simple formula we're using? Change over original. You should not have to flip back. There's like literally no reason to flip back. You're putting the change over the original. And then you're dividing, remembering the top dog goes in the house. And you move the decimal 2 places. All the stuff we already know to do. Should be that quick. Alright, pencils down even if you're not finished. Let's take a look at these together. Should be really quick and easy for most of them. Number one, if something starts at 400, we don't know 400 what's. I don't know, I like to think money. And the final is 500. What's the change, class?
100.
100. Over the original, which was obviously 400, knock off the zeros, that's a fourth, that's 0.25, so that's 25%. Did it go up or down?
Up.
Up. So we'd say 25% increase. Number three, what's the change? 3, because it went from 15 to 12. What's the original? 15. That can reduce down to 1/5, which is 0.2, which is 20%. Did it go up or down? Down, so 20% decrease. The next one, Fred won 15 chess tournaments last year. This year he only won 10. What's the change? 5. What's the original? 15. Reduce that down to 1/3. Remember, that's 33 1/3%. This is why we memorize percents and decimals, by the way. Up or down? Down, so decrease. I'm going to abbreviate for sake of time. Haley's field hockey team scored 150 goals last season. This season they scored 36 more than they did last season. What's the change?
36.
It's 36. They actually gave you the change here over the original, which was 150. Now here, I'm going to divide a 3 out, watch, to get 12 50ths. But then I'm going to multiply a 2 back in to get 2400ths, or 0.24, or rather, percent means hundredths, 24%. Why should I divide? I don't need to. Reducing strategically here, divide the 3 but multiply a 2 afterward, and of course it went up, so increase. Questions on that? This is where laziness of a mathematician breeds genius, is finding the shortcuts. You don't have to do any division there. House was put on the market for 160K. House didn't sell right away. Owners dropped the price to 140K. What's the change?
20K.
20,000. I'm just going to put K. And the original? 160K. The K's cancel, or the thousands cancel, right? And also these zeros, 2/16 reduces to 1/8, which is 0.125, which is 12.5 or 12.5%. Up or down? Down, 12.5% decrease. Let these be quick and easy. Change over original. Questions on 1 through 9, the odd. How many got all the ones you did correct? Even if you didn't get them all, finished all the ones you did? Does it make sense now?
Yeah, I did them all.
All right, change over original. All right, so you practice with them tonight for homework. Make sure we get those there. Now, one of the other big implications of money is what you see on the previous page, page 53, sales. Right? This is what we like, is go to the store and the shoes we wanted to buy are 40% off. We are going to get what's called a discount. Now you see the term there, and they say that a discount is the percentage of the original price. What I want you to do in the notes is write discount is money saved. Discount is money saved. That is the money you do not have to pay. Discount is money saved. Money that you do not pay. However, you see there the sale price. That's the price the customer pays. So sale price, money spent. Sale price, money spent. Go and jot that down. Sale price, money spent. So you go in there and the shoes are listed for $120, which is just outrageous. Well, they're listed for $120, but they're listed at 30% off. Okay, great. That means you save $36. That's the discount. How much do you pay? Oh, well, you pay the $120 they were minus the $36 you don't pay, right? And end up getting, what is that, $84? Well, then you got tax. Okay, so anyway, right? So that's basically what we're looking at. Look at the example there in the yellow box. Hardware store advertised a $420 lawn tractor was on sale for 25% off. What's the amount of discount, first of all? Well, find 25% of or times 420. It's $105. So if that's how much you save, how much do you pay? You just subtract. The $420 you were going to pay minus the $105 you save leaves you with $310 that you end up spending on the lawn tractor. Questions on discounts? Do you remember this from last year? And honestly, truly, this is something you probably kind of already know just from talking to parents when you go shopping, right? Any questions at all on discounts and sales? Yes, ma'am.
Sale price is money paid.
Sale price is the money that you spend. Yep, you spend that much, you pay that much, and then you save this discount. The discount is what you don't have to pay. The sale price is what you do end up paying. So turn over to page 54. Do number 11. $244 thing, we don't know what it is, just $244. And it's on sale for 25% off. First of all, how much do you save? Find it. How much do you save? All right, how much do you save, class? $61. Right? You say 25% off, you save $61. Just multiply 0.25 times 244. Super easy, right? Now, how much do you spend? What is the sale price? How much do you have to spend? What is the sale price before tax? We'll get to tax later. Class? $183. $183. Question?
What do you do for that?
What did I do for the savings or the total?
The sale price.
You just subtract. You saved $61, right, Lana? Okay, so Lana, if I wanted to sell you a book for $15, but I'm like, you know what, Lana? I'm gonna give you a sale. I'm gonna give you $3 off. How much do you spend? It was gonna be 15, but I'm giving you $3 off. 12. You just subtract, right? That's all we're doing here. Look at the next one. Something was gonna sell for $15, but you get 15% off. How much do you save? Something was going to sell for $15, but it's on sale for 15% off. How much do you save? Joshua?
$2.25.
Good, you save $2.25. We call this, stay with me, those in the back here dismissed. We call this the discount, right? But how much do you have to pay? You save $2.25, how much do you actually pay for this $15 thing, whatever it is? You don't really know what it is. And Lana?
$12.75.
Good, $12.75 is how much you pay. This is called the sale price. Questions on discount and sale price? Any questions? All right, your homework for this evening is to do page 51, numbers 1 through 11. Page 51, numbers 1 through 11. And on pages 54 and 55, page 54, 2 through 16, the even. Page 54, numbers 2 through 16, the even. Take a look at all of this tomorrow, but we'll get a chance to practice with it tonight.